The window's going down there as it empties.
We'll just manually discharge it.
Just give them a wee squash. It's looking promising. Got a wee party of cows following me this morning. Morning, Holly. What a beast. Big breakdown. It's the drill working there. I had quite a wee bit of rain last night again. That's the dryer going. Put the lights on in here. Not too much left in the pit now. That's most of it over there. Looks like a small pile, but it's quite a big pile now. There's 204 tonne in total. Well, that'll come down slightly because the moisture's drawn out of it. The weight will be reduced. So you just saw that pit emptying into the dryer, and then I've just pushed it up to fill it back up again. The batch is in there drying. We're on like a 30-minute drying cycle, then 30 minutes of cooling, and then it'll empty over there, and then it'll start filling again. So there's probably 4 batches left there. About 18 tonne a batch. Maybe mid-afternoon it'll all be done. Need to go and now make up the bar. Go and do that now. So that's it now, officially ready for hire. Once I've set it up and just make sure it's definitely fine, but I'll make an Instagram page. And I've not made it yet, so I'll put it down below so you can go and follow it if you want to see how it's going, how it looks. I'll put all the pictures on there of it. And if you need a bar, then get in contact with the Instagram page to hire it out. Assembled. It's actually quite big, bigger than I thought it kind of looks, but that's pretty good. The lights, pulled them tight and it made it reach kind of all the way around. Personally I would have them drooped. I've got another set if I want to do that. Fit up's reasonably good. This panel, as it's dried out the wood, it's warped a wee bit, so it's basically meant that this corner here, to kind of account for that warping, it's needed to sit up on a block there. You see that? It's okay because of where it's situated. I'll need to fix that for the future. Pretty happy with it.
The bar's officially had its first full run, so I'll put a couple of pictures up here now of it fully assembled. It's also got an Instagram page called crawfords.bar, so if you go and give that a follow if you're interested in it, possibly if you want to hire it and whatnot, if you message me there, and I'll get back to you.
Getting through it now. There'll be there's a wee bit of a batch in so far, but there'll still be kind of 14-15 tonne to go, and then there'll be a part of a batch left. What we do when we get left with a balance that's not a full batch, we'll empty the dryer down to a level where we think we'll get everything else in. So you empty it down to, let's say, 20%, you fill it up, leave enough room to get everything definitely in. So say you've got 70% of a batch here, 20% in the dryer already, fill it all the way up, clear this hole, get this all emptied, and then if you've still got 5-10% left to fill up, just go and get a bucket of dry stuff and put it in the pit, and just a wee bit at a time until it's full, and then that gets you a full batch so it can dry. It needs a full batch to be able to do the system, to dry it, so it can recycle and the air can go through it all properly. And then you run it all through, empty it out, and then anything left in there, there'll just be a wee bit from the bucket, just run it all the way through and out. So this grid, this pit, basically there's a rectangular channel all the way along, and then inside it from here up to there there's a V shape that draws all the grain in. See it there? the grain slides down here into there, and below that wee shield there's an auger. Draws it all the way along, all the way up beyond that wall, up to an elevator that takes it up to the top of the grain dryer and into the hopper. And then you can get access to all this. So these grids, you just put a strap around them, you can lift them out and get access to here. Sometimes if we've been combining really wet wheat, and the auger can choke, so we'll take the grid off, put blocks down one side so it only fills off the one side, so it can flow a bit easier and it's not getting clogged up with lots of wet stuff. That wee panel comes off and there's a handle, so you can get the forklift in, lift that whole piece off, and then you can get to the end bearing of the auger there. And then because the next crop that's going in there is going to be a seed crop, we need to make sure this is all cleared of that grain there, because we don't want any of that to be in the next crop that goes through the dryer. So all the bottoms of the conveyors, bottom of the elevators, anywhere like that grain can sit, we'll go and clean them all out, and this will all get a proper sweep. We'll just use a leaf blower and it gets right in, gets rid of all the seeds. So the next crop goes in, doesn't get contaminated with anything else. Just push this up with the forklift again, but I did just say that we need to make sure and sweep down fully and clean everything, because the next crop's in a seed crop. But it's not as important because the next crop's the exact same crop, so barley, winter barley, and it's also the exact same variety, Orwell, this is called the variety. So it's not as big a deal, it's just this is getting dried at a much higher temperature, so it can affect the germination. So it's fine if there's a couple of wee seeds here and there, but if it was a different type of crop, then that would come up through the crop that was sown. But it's the same variety, so it won't actually matter. But we will still keep it relatively clean and tidy, make sure there's not hardly anything going into the next crop of this. Orwell, that variety, is starting to get a bit more dirty in terms of disease. It's not as resistant, so we're going to change for next year. I think we're going to a variety called TARDIS. There was one in the works called Dracula, but the TARDIS has kind of taken the front spot, and we're going to go with it. That's that second last batch coming off. I've just cleaned up the pit, so there's only a bit left. It won't be far off a full batch, so just going to let this completely empty, let that fill up. I'll tidy it all up, and then if I need to add some more in, which I will do a wee bit, I'll just take a bit off of there, get it full up. Currently just getting rid of old pallets. We usually wind up with loads of pallets just through shop deliveries. So anything that's broken or odd shaped, we just have to toss in the trailer there, take them along the road, and they get burnt. But any good pallets, decent pallets, we keep, stack them up and organise them into their sizes, and then we sell them once we've got a few of them. They sell pretty quickly, to be honest, quite a lot through the summer. People buying them for making beds or making garden, like decking and things like that, the base of decking and things like that, so they go really quickly, like £1 or £2 a piece, depending on how many we've got and how good they are. I think that's enough for a good one for now. I think so. Just give them a wee squash, a wee crush, so they don't come off the trailer when it's going along the road. I think that's a wee bit better for going along the road. Hopefully the final batch, if we get it all in, just sweeping this wee bit up, and then we'll push that stuff, that pile of barley on the right there, over onto the pit. And it'll be kind of 20 minutes or so to get all the rest of that in. I'm not convinced all this is going to fit. Let's see where we are in the windows. Halfway up. We're at the top marker, but there's actually quite a lot of room. It goes right up to just below that kind of pyramid shape at the top there, so it's going to be real tight. We're getting there though, it's almost empty. It's looking promising. Just shovel this all up and it should all go in, as long as it doesn't stop right now. It just took it all, well actually it took about a ton more barley in there. There's a wee little drop in there, which is fine. I'll just, once that's dried and out, I'll run that little bit through, and then that'll be all the barley there, the feed barley finished. So that batch there, it's in the dryer now. It's got about an hour, be just over an hour till that's ready to come out, and then it'll take about 25 minutes to come out as well. So I'll go and jump in a tractor, I can now take that load of pallets and get rid of them. And that'll be another job done, cleared out the way. You see that field in the distance with the bales on it, so that's the field we combined. So there's still a patch of bales on it, so there's 20 acres of that field sold just as about, so the straw was just sold as is, not baled, and then they came and baled it themselves. And then the rest of the field Kevin baled yesterday, so those bales were collected by Duncan Kev today and they're taken to the yard, and there was also 2 loads of straw already sold and gone out. The lambs are all getting plenty fat because they're eating all the oats. So that's the pile of barley behind me there, and there's about half a tonne left. It's just filling into the pit now. They'll just let me ready it, so I'll go and do that. I can just run it straight through and out there, and that's how it's done with that barley. So currently I'm filling and everything is in from the pit. There's just a tiny wee bit in here, so you can do it manually or you can just press skip here. So skip the filling stage, it'll shift to drying. Skip the drying, it'll shift to cooling. Skip that again, straight to emptying. And then once it all empties, I'll just shut it all down. So this is a separate hopper that it discharges into. So you'll see the windows going down there as it empties, and then the discharge is on about a 50-second cycle. So 50 seconds later, this will drop again and it'll fill up again and it'll cycle out again, going up that conveyor into the bottom of that box there where there's an elevator. It takes it right up to the top, drops it down a chute into a valve. Well, the valve was before, then drops it down into a chute into the shed. There you go, that's that discharge. Usually it would come up to here, but there's hardly anything left. And also, just to speed things up, so we're not waiting 50 seconds on the discharge because there's not much in it, and we'll just manually discharge it. You can hear it in the background. So you can see the lights will light up. So it's currently closed. Click that, open, closed again. It's basically just some flaps, go like that, open and shut to let the grain in and out. There's quite a lot of them in a row. So just click that a few times, run it out, make sure everything's out of it. It's now sensing that the dryer's empty, but there'll still be a wee bit in the conveyor up the top of the shed, so I'll just do it manually now. So everything's switched to 0, and I'll just do it manually. So you want to do the furthest away one first, because you don't want to push grain up into an elevator that's not moving, or a conveyor that's not moving. So you do the one that's on the very end first, which is the top of the shed. So that's that on. Now this is the incline which goes up to that top shed one. Put that on, and then I want to put on the elevator, which is taking the grain up and dropping it into the shed incline. So that's that on. And then I want to put the bottom of the dryer on, which takes it to the bottom of the elevator. So we'll go for the bottom of that. Don't want the dryer top on. Go dryer bottom. There we go. And then we'll just do a couple of discharges, make sure everything's out of it, and just let it run for a couple of minutes, clear everything out, and then we're good to shut it down completely. There's obviously still a good bit left, but it's still coming out. That's been on for at least kind of 2 minutes. We'll keep it running just until that times out, or not times out, but that runs dry. So that's it, cleared out now, the system's empty. So we'll shut it down, but in the opposite order to what we put it on. So we're going to go dry bottom, elevator, shed incline, shed top. And we're done. Dryer's off. Make sure it's in shutdown mode. Big red button. That's it. Shut the door and we're done. Go get my tea.